像我这边摄影机就关掉啊。接着邀请加入吗？这样子，那我现在来分享，对不对？
那我们两个用同时开可以？
应该是可以的。啊，那 where do I go to share？ 我这边。Okay, I was expecting a larger audience, but it turned out that, so far, just a few, but, don't make yourself hungry. Yeah, now she's going to introduce.
Okay, so should we come on? Oh, okay. Hello, everybody here and everyone online. My name is Na Yu Chen, and I have the honor today to introduce Dr. Stephen Chen, our honorable speaker of this workshop, on behalf of the director of ELC, Dr. Vinkir, who has to be at the award ceremony today. He would like to be here, but he wasn't able to, so he asked me to introduce Dr. Chen to everyone. So actually, I'm really honored because Dr. Chen and I were office mates for 6 years. So I feel like I've known him for a very long time. He's a very distinguished professor at the English language department, and he won Outstanding Teachers Award in 2016 and 2017. And in year 2020, he won the Excellence Teaching Award. So he has a lot of experience in teaching 4 skills of English to share with us. And also Stephen is a poet, and he's published bilingual book of poetry in English and Chinese. So without further ado, I give you Dr. Stephen Chen. Welcome.
Okay, people online, I hope you can hear me clearly. And then, in order for the best effect, please allow me to take off my mask. Otherwise, I have a voice problem. All right, welcome, to today's occasion. Okay, and then the topic, as you can see, is getting students started. Okay, I want to reinforce it started on their paper in English. And then, this term paper in English, doesn't always make me, very comfortable because, it sounds like one thing. But if you look at this, okay, this, picture of illusion, what do you see? Do you see a rabbit looking right or a duck looking left? It's both, yeah? So, I guess my point is that, this, although, we managed to get this done in one shot, but actually it has to be, delineated into 2 phases, okay? First, I want to talk about, paper, okay, English part, and then move on to paper part. And then, for the paper part, okay, I managed to find Excelsior online writing lab. It's free, resources. Okay, and the student can access. And I also ask, our teaching assistant to give you the link, okay, of the handout today. So when you get there, when you receive this, you could click the link, and then you could explore a little bit more. Okay, but without further ado, let me begin. Writing lab menu. Okay, so we have this. Okay, they tell you the writing process, research, citation, and things. And to be honest with you, I know what you are thinking now. It's very organized, but who have the time, right? So I'm going to break it down, piece by piece, and just because honestly speaking, in this seemingly well organized outline and structure, there are a lot of cross-referencing and overlapping. Okay, so let's first talk about what I have been doing as for the preliminary preparation to get your student ready for EMI. Okay, and that was the English class, right? Okay, so they have to first, attend freshman English for 1 year. And by the end of which time, we expect them to reach the level of B2. Okay, and then, okay, so maybe to lighten everyone up, okay, I'm going to take you to this one. I like this one, okay. It's a joke. Hope you could laugh. Some of you might have heard of it. One day, a mother mouse and a baby mouse were taking a walk on the street. And as they were talking happily, a cat suddenly jumped in front of them, growling and threatening. And instead of panicking, the mother mouse remained calm and said, "Wolf, wolf," to the cat. Shocked, the cat thought that there might be a dog nearby and quickly ran away. The mother mouse then said proudly to the son, "Now you know how important it is to learn a foreign language." And then in this context, it's English. Okay? Now let's get back here. Okay? So, first of all, okay, when you ask students to turn in their assignments, okay, it's very important, okay, to manage and file the assignments effectively. Okay, maybe a plural S is better here. Okay, option one. Okay, if you are teaching 50 students in one huge class, okay, then I wouldn't blame you if you take the hard copies and then, read them and grade them, give them a score, okay, because that's what most people do. But if you want to go the distance and do a little bit more, this is my suggestion. Okay, option one, you can use Office, it's an online, site to create a roster chart that includes your student's name. And then you give the students the link of the chart and ask them to paste the link to their assignments, okay, and give you the editing access. Am I making myself clear? Okay, like this. I'll show you an example. And by the way, a lot of people, when they give a talk, they enjoy using, PowerPoint, but I hate PowerPoint because, you have very, crowded space, and then, the font has to be very large. Yeah, so I prefer, my way of doing things. I give you a net that take you to everywhere. So for example, this is the date, okay? And then, in this, I ask my student, to be honest with you, I never choose a textbook. I create my own textbook. That's called extemporaneous, okay, syllabus, okay? Now, I ask my student, this is for the next semester, I ask my student to go to, to search for a TED talk. That was under 15 minutes, okay? And after the talk, he has to come up with PowerPoint asking the students the main idea, okay, questions. And then he has to go to Quizlet, okay, and make, to create a set of the vocabulary items, okay, and then provide the link here, okay, each and every one of them. So, so you know what I'm talking about? Yeah? So this, leave this place and continue moving. Okay, so, and then you grade on the internet. Okay, if you do this, just, what you have seen, you could even have students do peer grading. You see, since, it's open access to everyone, right? So you could have an A and B grading C's, okay, and offer valuable, comments. Of course, might not always be trustworthy, okay, but then here, and this is my personal compliment, okay, to you. Because, we have to understand, expecting students to turn in their paper in English, the preliminary work, okay, is the English. And then, for according, I've been here for 30 years. I started teaching young when I was 31. I started at Donghai, and yesterday was my birthday. I was 58. And then, okay, I'm giving you this because it gives you a very good summary. You are welcome to download the file. Okay, and let me show you what that is. Okay, you got free access. You don't need my permission. Use it, to your for your student. The greatest, problem with Chinese student is their tense problem. Okay, so they often get mixed up with the tense they should be using. Okay, so this is a simple chart. This is a timeline, and this is the student, whoever. This is simple present, progressive, wavy line. Okay, perfect. Okay, means something that has started a moment earlier, but so far until the moment of speaking, it has already ended. And then, progressive perfect means that the yellow line indicates okay, what was going on, okay? It means something has been completed to a certain extent, but it's still continuing. But I tell you, okay, our students are very good in simple and then, progressive. But, for the red line, they have no idea. For example, if I ask you, there are many ways to greet people, right? And if I ask, how are you? Everyone knows this is 101, right? I'm fine, thank you. But if I say, how are you doing? Then they start to scratch their head. Well, I'm not doing anything. And you could also say, how have you been? The same as how are you? And they would be even more, puzzled. The fourth way is, how have you been doing? They have no clue. So, tense is very important, okay? And then, in the junior high school and senior high school curriculum, I think I hate, the way they compile the textbook, right? So, they always, cover only one aspect of the grammar, okay, with, new contents. And then over the 6 years span, okay, it's kind of here and there and everywhere. So never have there been someone to give a succinct, like summation, okay? So I devised a chart, okay, easy as it might seem. It took me several years. I very daringly, okay, put all the verb, okay, as like eating an apple, okay? And then I have a disclaimer, okay? And then would you allow me to switch back to Chinese a little bit, if necessary? 下面举的例子都是文法正确啊。All these sentences are grammatically correct, but in fact, people might not say that in real life. For example, you wouldn't be saying an apple is being eaten by me, okay? But if you say the naughty boy is being punished by the father, that would sound reasonable, okay? But just for memory work to help people remember better, easier. Let's put eating apple as the consistent verb. So here you have this one. Okay, let me enlarge it a little bit. So I'm doing okay. My speech clear? Okay. So this is past tense, and this is the aspect of the verb. Like we have 过去式、进行、完成跟完成进行式. For example, I ate an apple yesterday, an apple was eaten. Okay, which is okay. And I was eating an apple was being eaten. Okay. So students, they have to memorize the chart, okay? And then here, I eat an apple every day. An apple is eaten by me every day. This is the present, and these are the four aspects, okay? And then let's move on. Okay, this is the future tense and the four aspects. And Chinese students, they do not have this idea. It's been a cancer to them, okay? For example, I have been eating apple for a week. I will have been eating apples for a week by this Friday, which means he started last Saturday, and then by this Friday, okay, which is tomorrow, it will be 1 week. But after that Friday, you are still continuing doing. You are still going to be eating apples. But Chinese students, they don't have this idea. So constantly, they make grammatical mistakes. Okay, so, you use this, and make your student learn. Okay, so these are the examples I've come up with, okay? For example, in present tense, he eats breakfast every day. He is eating breakfast now. He has eaten breakfast. He has been eating breakfast since 7, and it's 10 o'clock now, and he is still continuing. This one, okay? I studied at the library yesterday. I was studying at the library when the earthquake happened. I had studied at the library for 2 weeks before the final exams. I had been studying the book for 2 weeks before our teacher said last week that it would not be included for the exam. So, as simple as it is, Chinese students, they simply have problem coming up with this kind of grammatical concept. Yeah, a lot of things, when taking, listening tests, the problem is not a certain word that they do not know. It's because from the verb part, they have a problem understanding the context and logical sequence. Okay, isn't that sad? And this one, I will take a walk tomorrow morning at Wenli Boulevard. I will be taking a walk at Wenli Boulevard. It's around 7 tomorrow morning. I will be doing something, and I will have finished walking by 8. Yeah, and then I will have been taking a walk there for 3 weeks by this Friday. Okay, it's a future perfect progressive. Yeah. So, if the student memorize this should be, quite clear. And then another very important aspect is the different kinds of verbs. Okay, for us, more accomplished with English, I think this, should be no problem with us. But the student really need to have this. It's a chart that they have to memorize. 不完全不及物, people talk, birds fly. If it's incomplete, intransitive, then you've got to have a subject complement. Okay, I can teach grammar in English, but it makes no point. So, whenever you do this, switch back to Chinese. Okay, because, honestly, I guess I have it somewhere. I think for most of us, our default is Mandarin Chinese. This is the fact that we have to face. Yeah, we cannot pretend that we are native English speakers, So, we have to understand that, for thinking and for logic reasoning, students perhaps are better with their mother tongue. So, do code switch whenever necessary. So, in the EMI, when I was meeting with the MOE and then all those experts, because I was the previous chair, and when I had a meeting with them, I asked them in the first meeting, okay, I challenged them, okay, EMI, but how much percent, how much, in what percent, okay, do you allow to use mother tongue? And very specifically, they told me you could use up to 30% of Chinese, which is normal, legal, okay? Particularly with some terms, yeah.
70% you said?
English.
English 70%,
Yeah.
30% for
Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, before I asked them that, I guess they were not ready for the answer. I forced them, I pushed them to the corner and asked them to take Chinese seriously. Yeah. I mean, all English instruction is good if you have enough hours. Like, you spend 8 hours in class and everything is English, then perhaps you do not need, much focus in grammar and things, because it will formulate, the idea by themselves. But the problem is that we never have that much hours, right? That many hours, that much time. Okay, and then, 完全及物. My brother flies an airplane, he runs a company, and then incomplete, transitive. Okay, so after the subject, you have got to have a subject, a complement, okay? Like, for example, this will be 实义动词, 知觉动词, leave, find, and get. And then because, this, appears time and time again in all kinds of proficiency exams. So I had a special page on this. All students, they have to memorize it. I think I have tried my best, okay, to put important English concepts in charts, in simple charts. The student, if they are willing, okay, it should be no problem to them. Okay, and then the next part, okay, we go to, like, how sentence, will combine together. And this is important because, when they write a sentence in English, okay, there are different ways to present, into a paragraph. So we have, this, 对等的连接还有复合的连接. Okay, and these two could be, working together. Okay, so this is, what I have for them, and this is 对等连接. He's not tall, but he plays basketball well. Give me the key, or you will get into trouble. And then other than that, we should have this. We can use a punctuation mark, okay, as the equivalent. You could use a semicolon, a dash, 造成开门见山的效果. Okay, and then, within two closely related verbs, the second verb could be changed to ing form. He sat on the floor and he cried, and this could become he sat on the floor crying. Okay, and then this is 形容词子句. Okay, it's a chart. It's like a 大饼包小饼, and this is 名词子句. Okay, and then the difference between these two is these are 关系代名词, and these 是代会仪. You see, 代是 that, whether if. Okay, 我们给它用个记忆法叫会仪，就是 the 7 WH words. But in order to help students to remember better, okay, So you could imagine that there was a girl whose surname was Dai and her name was Hui, Dai Hui. Okay, you remember the girl's name, and then I should have no problem creating noun clauses. It has to be after the verb. But don't worry, I guess the English teacher they would have taken care of it, yeah, before they go to your class. And then it could go on and on and on, okay? Like you don't have just one 大饼包小饼, you could have 大饼包小饼再包小饼再包小饼. Okay, so if they know the organizing principles, and this is 副词子句, usually it's like this. Okay, and then it could be further changed to 这个分词构句. Okay, so for this term, students they have to learn. And then the third weakest point for student is 假设语气. And then luckily I have made it transparent, quite easy. Okay, if they could remember the child, then it solves all their problem with subjunctive mood. Okay, but let me spend a little bit more time here. Okay, 假设语气 if it's about the future, then you cannot say it's 假设. It has to be 推测 because it has not happened yet. But if it's high possibility, we just directly use present tense. If it rains tomorrow, we will cancel the picnic or would either. If it should rain tomorrow, we would cancel the picnic or will. Okay, but it's very low, unlikely. If it were to rain tomorrow, we would cancel the picnic. And then coming to 假设. Okay, usually 假设语气 would only show up in 3 scenarios. One is the noun clause. I wish I had money. I wish I were rich. I wish I could fly. Or, okay, it would show up in 感叹句. If only I could fly. Okay, and then the guiding principle is quite easy. You just move the time back to a certain point. 如果是现在的假跟对现在的假设，你用过去简单；对过去的假设，你用过去完成式。Okay, and then the third scenario is 副词子句的假设。Okay, we have a cause and then the effect. Okay, so this will be it. Yeah, let me leave this place. Okay, this is okay here. Okay, so and next, I want to share with you how to make your grading efficient. Okay, and which is by which I mean you have to use coloring and commenting in students' mother tongue. For the majority, it will be Chinese, and for international, you have to use English. Let me give you some example. You could do it here at Office Sunday, okay? Like, one time I had writing assignments, and then my student, the topic was that, what the student, they failed to come, and they have to come up with a reason and ask for a leave. So, let's see, how I handle that. Okay? The name. Okay, sorry, teacher, I have to ask for leave. I mean, the red means my correction. The yellow highlighted area, okay, means, I think they have a problem and they have to change that. So if you, give this back to them, they would read. And they know, where got wrong, okay? I was going to write, okay, I changed it to, 你这样的意思是正要骑车，但是实际上表达，你已经在摩托车上，而且在进行当中，所以你会撞到人。So I was riding my bike from my house back to the school dormitory, but there was a little accident. I ran into, okay, and I changed it to hit. I ran into an old woman because, I explained, 这个是遇见的意思，你应该用 hit 比较精准。Okay, who was wandering on the side of the road. Now, she was frightened, so I took her home, okay? And then I think, here's a problem here. Provided her with a wash and a change of clothes. I think that sounds a bit seductive. Okay, 我觉得这样子有点奇怪. So I changed it to I help her clean up, okay, change clothes and cook a meal. Okay, and then he has it originally and prepare to treat her to a meal. And then my comment here goes, according to the highlighted area, I think you are taking out to a restaurant for dinner. You are not cooking it at home. Okay. And so when I was cooking, 4 burly men rushed into my house and asked if I was plotting against the old woman. They let me squat down. So, the to is not necessary. I explained, let 后面受词要加原形动词. Okay, on the spot with my hands behind my back and took off all my clothes and forced me to sign a promissory note as an explanation to this woman. And maybe this is a Badger game, okay? 是一个仙人跳. And then,这里, here, the period should go into the quotation, not outside. And students constantly make this, mistake. And I didn't want to compromise, so I picked up a weapon and wanted to drive them out, but I was beaten up. The woman looked on as if he had planned everything. And it was the first time I failed. Now listen, 他讲的是 the danger of people's heart. And my comment, 我知道你要讲的是人心险恶，可是这种方式有点中式英文，应该怎么改成英文 ？That people who are, this could be omitted, seemingly harmless could be evil. This is better. So, which made me feel very frustrated. So I didn't have the heart, okay, to go to the class. And then my comment is, I didn't have the heart, 是忍不下心. I didn't have the mood, 是我没有这个心情. The students, they have a long way to go. And now I know, if you do not have a lot of time, I guess you don't want to spend time on this, okay? And now, one thing with Office 365, which is very good, is I want to show you, you might be wondering, well, typing this or, adding the comment will be too troublesome, okay? Now, you see the microphone, you click it. 所以今天我要展示的是 See, so you could just speak, voice over, and your comments, yeah, is here. Okay, so I guess I'm showing how to efficiently to grade students' composition. It has been a nightmare for a lot of teachers, and some people would die before teaching composition class. Yeah, I guess a lot of people. Okay, so I'm to share with you, and then here I think you're gonna like this one. Okay, my name is Yang. Okay, from your afternoon class. This is literature. Now this is not just an email. See, how his imagination has run wild. Unfortunately, my day has been odd and tiring, which explains why I wasn't in your English class today. Okay, and then when I was on my way to your class, it rained so hard, but I insisted on going, and because of this I slipped and fell into a sewer next to me. I lost my conscience for a moment, and it was literally pitch dark. Several moments later, I couldn't believe when I woke up I was in a completely different place. I had woken up in a weird room. Okay, it is hard to describe it, but the room had a kind of yellowish lighting and walls were in yellow chromatic color. Okay, I was in panic and I screamed. Okay, he said 他用这个词态是不对的, and I screamed for help right away. And then after freaking out for quite some time, I realized that I was in the back rooms. Well, this is a term from a science fiction, which is a labyrinth or maze. Like once you get in, you'll never be able. It's a catch-22, Yeah. And the sewer I had slipped into turned out to be a portal to the bedrooms. Okay, 一个传输铺. And I think I was screwed. Okay, but I needed to exit the bedroom, or else I would be late to your English class. See how flattering he is. And when exiting the room, I was faced with an endless combination of rooms, from a room full of mirrors, a room that was flooded, and the scariest part was that one room with only one light and one door, and next to you is the version of yourself, but in a devilish form. And I was terrified, and I fought the devil until I nearly died. And luckily, I defeated him, and I exited the last door in front of me. And when I came back, it turned out that I have been a missing person for the last 30 years. Wow. And I don't have any idea where I am nor who to ask for help, because all of my friends and family have all long died. And please help me, Professor. And usually I wouldn't write a response for this kind of, it's a composition, right? But, he has given me this dilemma. What am I supposed to do? So here's my response. Dear Mr. Yang, the professor you are trying to reach is my grandfather. He passed away 30 years ago, but his email is still active because he told us to keep it and check constantly. THU is still there, and I checked their freshman English class and found that this, your class code is still running, and I think you can join that class, although the teacher and student are all now different. Good luck. So teaching can be a lot of fun. Yeah, could be a lot of fun. Okay, and then another thing I do. Okay, I had student watch a TED talk. Okay, and then after that, for example, it's 15 minutes in length, right? After that, I asked them to come up here. Everyone had used their phone and their mobile devices. Everyone types. Okay. Here concurrently, so I see people working here, okay, because it's internet, okay. And then I ask them to summarize, and for this section, it indicates what their original, okay. Then if I chose a different approach, right? I copy the original and I do my grading here. After that, they have to check and then type the correction again. That's the way I can make sure they improve and I learn from the comments. Okay. So, for example, this one, okay, the speech began with a situation, okay, that the speaker discovered in Malaysia. It surprises me. Okay. No comma here. Okay. Because you have a because. She said that, how well somebody communicates in English actually has very little to do with their English level. I got the impression that someone good at communicating English must have good English level. And she told us an example she had experienced. She met two people in a pharmacy, but the second person gave her a better response. Okay, should be in semicolon, okay, not just comma, otherwise it becomes a run-on. She told us it was because the second person had listened to her, not afraid of talking to others in a language that she isn't very familiar with. The first person's English is much better than the second, but she was so nervous that she couldn't clearly understand what the speaker needed. Again, semicolon. Students used to have a lot of run-ons. She just focused on what she wanted to express. And I think the most important thing in the speech is an attitude, okay? Not being afraid of speaking or to speak, okay? That is the emphasis of the whole speech. English just a tool, and you just need to focus on the person you are talking to and what he or she needs. Okay, and this is not necessary. So they have to, to examine the comment and type it again before I give them a score. Okay, and then I'm going to, and for this one, I kind of enlarge this a little bit, okay, to make you show where I commented and why. Okay, Mariana, a teacher, shared that she noticed there is a problem very similar between her daughter playing piano and her student in Malaysia speaking English, which is they are afraid to be judged by the mistake they make. Okay, so he had this, and I added the red part. Okay, so it's kind of time consuming. Okay, now let's move on to the really important things. Okay, now we are finally here after a little bit of journey. Okay, if I tell you that after this workshop, things will just take care of itself, that is a joke. Okay, so I proposed some, helping tools. Okay, and now, with AI progressing, okay, now your students, one thing, just if you do not want to take something that is very raw, unprepared, with a lot of, undesirable parts, you could first ask students to go to Depot Translation. It's a free website from mainland China. Okay, and it's a free trial version because you cannot buy a professional one here in Taiwan because it's not included. But the free version is good enough. Google Translation works equally well. But as a translator, okay, and a professional English teacher, okay, and who is bilingual, okay, the problem with AI translation is that it has 70% of accuracy, but the remaining 30%, if something is wrong, is very wrong. So you have to pay attention to the tense, the word choice, especially the proper nouns. Often you have to double check the proper nouns on Google, okay? Okay, and then another option, okay, so Chinese becoming English, okay, and then now they have to improve the quality of English, right? So they could go to instant text editor. Okay, it charge you like 4,000 per year. Okay, students do not have that much money, I know, and which connects to what I'm going to propose to you. Okay, and then Grammarly Premium is also 4,000 a year. Okay, so it's and then for this one you could get 20 accounts at a bargain price. Okay, so I'm humbly suggesting 管院 okay to buy Grammarly， 我们就不要用 instant text OK， 我们就用 Grammarly OK， 跟他买20个账户，学校出钱，然后给学生这几个可以用的账户，因为你不想 if you want to give yourself a hard time in grading their homework, yeah, I guess it's worth investing the money. Okay, so I have a chart here, how lovely, right? To help you compare. Okay, this is Grammarly, this is instant text, right? Okay, and these have all their, the checked and crossed merits and, disadvantages. Okay, so, if you follow the map that I, will be distributed to you when the speech over, then you could, come back for a revisit. Okay, and then, very important, okay, I guess we should have, 2 helping desks on duty, okay, and with, shift schedule, okay, and taking walk-ins or by appointment. It could be physical or virtual. You understand what I'm saying? 我觉得应该有2个窗口，可以是网上的，也可以是有人来驻点的 ，OK？ 那一个呢，可能就管说，比如说是企管行销的内容，他只管内容，另外一个人是管语言跟他的格式。我觉得可能要一点分工。那谁要来值班呢 ？Who is to man the booth？ 谁要来站岗呢 ？Well, that is another question. I am not going to think right now, but certainly not me. OK， 可以跟外文系合作。OK， 那如果说我们给的那个钟点费、值班费 ，OK 我跟你讲一下。OK for a lot of students in FLD, we have a lot of girls, boys who score above 90 in their TOEIC exam. Do you think they could do the job? No. It has to be a professor. Yeah, because we don't have PhD students. And even with PhD students, I don't really trust them. I knew it because when I was in America as a Fulbrighter, okay, I was the teaching center assistant. Yeah. So, okay, now let's move on to the second part, okay, which is the paper part, okay. So, at one glance, this is, on top of this document, yeah. If you click here, it takes you to here, no. Yeah, if you click here, it takes you to this, okay, and then it's impossible, with today's time limit to cover all the aspects, right? So you see, I'm going to probably do this several, okay, and then writing in the discipline, okay. So it's you are about business, right? So so far I have taken care of the English components, and now we move on to your zone, yeah. So this is the writing in the discipline, okay. So so for business, okay, I guess you use APA documentation, right? I don't know what statistic about. What kind of documentation style? Chicago? No.
I'm not in the management. I'm in statistics. Statistics is more mathematical.
Yeah, but what's the documentation style? Like you use APA? 好比说写书目的时候有没有一个格式要 follow？ 应该是 APA， 我觉得是 APA 呀，因为商管的应该都是 APA。好，那么这个 the basic format of your students' paper. Okay, let's follow this step by step. You could, as I said, don't worry, okay, because everything goes on, in a very fast fashion. Okay, you could always come back. The basic format of your paper, okay. So they are usually three kinds. For literature people, not linguistic. For literature and journalism, I guess no. Literature we use MLA, and then a lot of other fields we use APA, including management. Okay, and Chicago was like for engineering, I think. Okay, and so you have to ask the professor. Okay, and then the format. Okay, the margin is set here. Okay, they go by inch. 可是一般就是一个 inch 是2.54公分，自己量。And we could adjust the margin. Okay, and the font 跟大家解释一下就是这个 serif 跟 sans serif， 你知道这个什么差别吗？这个 serif 就是说有时候那个文字它没有给你毛边。Okay, for example， 像这个文字它很大，它不会再说这里给你加个凸出来一点点，为了美观，有没有？或一个毛毛的东西。But 这个叫这个什么？这个是 serif， 这是 serif， 这有加毛边就 serif。不加毛边比较干净的是 sans serif。一般我们投稿的时候会用 Times Roman 12号字体。OK， 那有时候也用 Chicago， 所以基本上是这样的接着来 ，and they have to double space。Okay, and then see the margin has been set here. Okay, you could give to the students. Okay. And this has been covered before. Okay. And they could have a title page like this, the cover page. Okay, and then the writing process. Okay, the first one is to do some thinking. Okay, to do some thinking, and then you have to try to develop your idea. Okay, then you have to narrow down your scope. Okay, and then you have to research, gather information. Okay, and then you have to put the information in order. Okay, and revise and edit. If you follow the steps, okay, I guess it couldn't go very wrong. Okay, for example, Shopee or Taobao, pros and cons for you as a seller. 假使你要在网上卖东西，你要不要做一下比较？那虾皮跟淘宝哪个是比较好的平台？好比说它的网站抽成 ，OK， 还有没有它有什么奖励的机制？页面是不是比较好看？Yeah. For example, my second master's thesis is self-invention of Ernest Hemingway, authorship and readership. 那我在里头就讲说，好 through publicity of adventurous event, Hemingway makes the audience wonder if he is a star type of writer or a writer type of star. 有时候你知道海明威，你真的不晓得他到底是一个明星还是一个作家，是他两个都是。那我就要讲说他出名的原因到底是小说好，还是很爱搞新闻 ，Yeah。好，我们来看一下这里，然后玩一下这个游戏。来，那个Willem, could I ask you to come up here and then put these processes in order? But don't worry, I'll first go through it. I don't want to give you a heart attack. Yeah, order information and draft. And you revise and edit, narrow your topic, gather information, think about assignments, and develop ideas. Then you put them in order. Come up here. Use my cursor. Thank you. How about your coffee?
How much time do I have?
No, just take it easy. We are in relax mode.
Oh,
Well, maybe think about your assignments first. Take it easy, And then if you think about it, right? Oh, yeah. Just look at it.
okay.
And then you have to narrow your topic.
No topic.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Gather information.
Oh, wait a second. Then I think develop your ideas. No, I think the third should go to second.
This one should go to second.
Yeah, that's my guess. And then narrow your topic. Gather information, you order the information. Yeah. Further over.
Okay. Click check.
All right. Okay, and then I'm going to give you some example, right? Okay, writing process. We've done this. Okay, specifically, okay, please look at this place. Okay, this is the general outline, okay, of the Excelsior, okay, and then in a certain area, it talks about rhetorical styles. Now, when you start, get your student to write on something, okay, they could do an argumentative, okay, and then they could classify and divide. Okay, they could talk about the cause and effect, or they would be comparing and contrast, or they have to give a definition of something, okay, or descriptive. They could describe something, illustrate something, and then sometimes they have to use some narration, 叙述一个事件。Okay, 这是报社的记者，我想他们可能都会受过这种训练。Okay, so here I'm going to take this as an example. Okay, my poem. A poem. I don't know, in what year I wrote this. Okay, 夏格尔. Does anyone know 夏格尔? Okay, Mark Chagall. Okay, so he was a Russian-born. Okay, and then he was later naturalized as a French. Okay, he was kind of impressionistic and cubist. Okay, and 他是有点像是印象派的画家。那么在Metropolitan in New York 这个纽约歌剧院就有一个很大幅他的画，鲜红色的。Okay, so let's take a look at some of his pieces. You see. Surrealistic, right? A man and woman, they could be flying in sky. With the horse, it's not really real, but it's very strong with strong impact. So so after getting this, okay, after for example, you are the student, and then you run across this poem. So you might be wondering, what is Chagall? What is Chagall like? So I already, so we checked, right? We know, Chagall is something like this. Okay, and let's see how that is related. So you are gathering information. How that is related to the content. Okay, so I'm going to, I have English versions, but I'm going to read Chinese for today. Okay, 初夏午后，凉风很不认真的在我额头上玩着跳房子。今天的文学课预定要找海明威喝茶，课表是这样写的，要去个干净明亮的地方。我心想，今天出太阳。如果下雨，来的学生会少一半，借口是找不到伞或是船，因为已经做水灾了。每人头顶上都飘着一个气球，就是漫画人物头顶上表达思想的圆圆的地方。红气球的短发女生还一直想着昨晚她的初吻，黄气球的男孩想着今晚会领到打工的薪水袋，绿气球的女孩揣摩着跟男友分手要如何摊牌，蓝气球的女孩在埋怨母亲硬要她来念外文系。白气球的数量比较多，表示鼾声平稳，脑袋关机。我用极大的声音朗诵海明威的文句，虚无，接着是虚无加虚无，接着还是虚无。学生的反应也恰如其分的虚无，像我和他们中间隔着消音的玻璃墙。渐渐的，地心引力从我身上消失，我变成一根鹅毛，翱翔在飘满彩色气球的天空，直到下课钟响，气球一个个飞出窗外。你们一定很喜欢这首诗吧？我觉得应该放到那个国中小的课本里头。对，现在的那个编辑都没有水平。好，请问他有在这首诗里头，他用了什么样的说辞的那个修辞的技巧？他有在争议一件事情吗？ Yeah, it's narrative. Yeah, very good. 我们有 narrative， 还有呢 ？Do we have description? Yeah. And then do we have classification? Yeah, very good. Bingo. You high passed the trial. Okay, now I'm going to give you something really daring. Because this is my PhD dissertation. And then for years after I finished my dissertation, I've been wondering who the hell would read it again. And today I want to take the opportunity and force you to read it. So my effort wouldn't have gone to the toilet. And honestly, I just want to show you, as an example, okay? If it's a dissertation as this thick, a good written abstract, would it help the reader to know what to expect and what you are dealing with? Okay, so we have I have here I compiled it, so I'm going to read only the Chinese part, and then I have English, so you could just do side reading. Yeah. 音乐跟语言呢 ，OK， 我们的题目来先讲一下与音乐跟语言的文学嬉戏。OK， 所以我要讲到文学，讲到音乐跟语言。从莎士比亚到石黑一雄，石黑一雄是一个日裔的小说家，英国，他大我几岁吧，他得过诺贝尔文学奖 ，OK， 蛮厉害的一个人。那英文写得真好。音乐跟语言普遍被认为是两种表达的系统，音乐比较重表情，语言比较重表意。那本篇论文探讨音乐跟语言情意相依的紧密关联，以至于在文学作品跟论述言说当中，音乐概念经常成为一种暗喻或是转喻的修辞技巧。而在当代文本所潜入的流行歌曲曲目中，有时候你看小说看一看有没有，他就给你来一段歌词。更可能在全球化的臆想当中，诱发读者甚至个别角色之间不同的人生体认跟身份的认同，进而丰富了文本诠释的多元意义。论文的序章建制论文架构，第一章概述音乐跟语言谁先谁后的各家看法，以及当代理论家对音乐这个大概念在哲学上可能影射的意涵，特别是Deleuze 跟 Guattari 两人对音乐提出了颠覆性的诠释。注意，这很重要，他们认为音乐不纯属听觉，而是所有领域当中一种物理律动的反复，所以越升越弱。OK， 也就是 OK。有时候我们在看水舞的时候，有没有？水舞有那个喷泉，然后有灯光，它有一个 pattern， 就不播音乐的时候，它本身也是一种视觉的音乐 ，because it follows a certain pattern。那么本章最后要举例是音乐跟语言之间意图表达跟表达意图的辩证的关系。第二章要探讨莎剧中莎士比亚里头，它潜入文本的歌曲跟音乐的概念。它经常变成一种修辞上的情境，暗喻情境，用以类比人生的百态。第三章讨论音乐的时代性与现代文学互相辉映的特质。在近代文学当中，文本的音乐属性丰富的作品中的韵律感。以诗来说，有时候声调上的反复，代替性的捕捉了视觉上的动态。就小说跟戏剧来讲，文本中反复出现的主题，更是印证了德勒兹所谓的副歌的概念。再三的回旋，但这样的律动尽管周而复始，每次都不尽相同，是一种同中有异、异中有同的转移更替。第四章要讨论石黑一雄的小说集叫《夜曲》，阐述音乐在当代流行歌曲中的哲学意涵，像是音乐的传播方式和普及程度，对于身份认同和经验认知可能产生的歧义，在现代生活里和现代文本当中。随时随地随机播放的或者描述的一首歌，都可能是一场穿越时空的流动宴席。所有在场的每一个你，不管是书中的角色，或是现实中你身为一个读者，我们都是歌词与歌曲里头所演绎的那个我，因为你有移情的作用，你懂吗？所以刘若英在唱的一首歌，我就觉得根本在说我的故事。那如果在小说中刚出现这首歌的歌词，那就更有多元的文本，因为小说这个角色喜欢这首歌是因为基于一个什么理由？那你身为一个读者，你是在第三度的空间，你看着他有这种情绪，那你自己有什么情绪？所以这是一个很丰富多元的，这是一个多元的一个元宇宙的论文呀。那我想我今天的演讲就到这里了。对，好像很短，对不对？
I thought it would be
a lot longer, a lot longer. 那个老板偷懒了。
Thank you.
So maybe 你们要问问题吗？
Yeah, I think Dr. Stevens' talk was truly inspiring, and he's leaving some space for everyone to participate and ask questions, and that will include our friends online. I think you can text your questions online. Maybe we can see your questions here, and you can respond. And of course, I would like to encourage the present audience to share your comments, your thoughts, or your questions. So the floor is open. Any questions or comments?
Okay, I think now if you type something on the other side of the room, okay, I could also see it. So do you have any question to ask the people here on the spot and also people online?
You can type your questions
Yeah.
in the chat.
I don't have a question, but I want to show my appreciation of this talk, because it is a great mixture of technology and the literature. I heard the name today, the first time, 石黑一雄 and Xiaogao, and I heard the names the first time today. And I'm from statistics. I am into scientific and the technological writings, but it is a very good exposure that I have. I enjoy it very much, the literature part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful observation, and maybe someday we will see the dance between Shakespeare's works and statistics. That would be a really new and interesting topic, like a interdisciplinary study between fields like science, life science, or mathematics, numbers with literature and maybe with music. Yeah, another
I
comment?
think interdisciplinary is really fantastic.
It is.
It is thrilling to know that in 30 years, Shanghai University is still around.
Exactly. And our grandchildren will be teaching a course that has the same class code that we have. That would be really great. So any other comments or questions, either online or in person?
So far, I haven't seen anything.
Right.
Hey, people on the other side, give me a sign, a thumb up or a smiley face to give support, okay? Do it now. I said now. Sorry, I am taking you as my students.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
As a foreign student, I know that now Taiwan that is implementing the bilingual policy, and then especially in college level or above. And now what is the main discussion that happened in like my department, Chinese literature department? Many teachers are worrying about whether they are going to teach a subject, for example like 诗经, for example 楚辞 in English, and they feel that it's really impossible. But for my information, because I'm doing semiology, so I know some scholars from the West, they do write Chinese scholars academic work in English. So for me, I think it's not something very serious. But how is the best way to discuss with maybe my PhD friends or maybe a lecturer who over worry about this matter?
Okay. Yeah, let me give you a scenario. If you attend the Chinese literature department in 美国, like for example in Massachusetts University, Department of Chinese Language and Literature, right? So what would they be asking the student, Chinese only? Like for American students, they are doing getting a major in Chinese literature, like 明清小说, right? I would assume that that their textbook would be those translated pieces. But for classroom discussion, I guess the professor would be using English, right? Don't you agree? Yeah. Would they ask students, or maybe in some professor, they might ask to read in the original. 明清小说 in original. Yeah, but even if they do so, I guess most of the discussion would be like what I said, 70% in their like in
Their first language.
Yeah, their first language. Yeah, things like that. And then for the Chinese, for the setting here in Chinese in Taiwan, you don't have to worry about that. You don't worry because it will never happen. It will never happen because for example, let me tell you, the EMI, the whole thing is dying. It's dying because although we started shouting and yelling, like we want to become the English country, but after a lot of objection from legislators and worries from parents, the MOE has decided to cut down the number of participants. Because in our previous meetings, when I was still in the chair position, a lot of our school, like technology university, they complain. They say our students are very low. How could you ask us to do this? And then after so many objections from legislative yuan, they say, okay, if you don't want it, just leave it, quit. So by the end of this year, I mean this coming summer, I think a lot of schools would drop from this. Okay, which is good for MOE. Yeah, but I would assume Donghai would be still there. Okay, number one, because the 高教师师长 is our alumnus. Okay, and then I think we, imperfect as it might be, we are doing our best. Yeah.
We have a pretty good Department of Foreign Language.
Oh no, please do not be mistaken. EMI has nothing to do with foreign language. It's the English Language Center.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 因为他们只管他们外文系。
In the past, we were together. In the
对。
I apologize.
No problem.
That's
No
where
problem.
we came from.
I first belonged to 外文系, and then they drove me out, so I hated it.
Oh, really? Really?
We got
So
there was a
you're
divorce.
completely independent.
No, yeah. Now
in
we're
the past, we
into.
were one department, and then there was a divorce, so we separated.
Ooh,
Yeah.
strong politics.
Yeah. Policy at the time. Any
So,
other questions? Yeah,
That's
sorry.
not gonna happen. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, observations? I think because Dr. Stephen Chen's speech was very thorough and it showed us a lot of different aspects of teaching writing. Maybe that's why the audience don't have a lot of questions, which is actually a good sign.
I think they are either, I don't know. I guess that happens, right? Yeah, just don't be too hard.
Okay, so is there anything you'd like to add before?
Because I went very quickly, and then you could always have something to follow. We will email you the link to the handout, and it's an online thing. You could click it around, and then you get familiarized, with all the branches, the links. Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
for
Nice to
sharing
meet you,
with us.
Professor Liu. Thank you for coming. I am pleased. Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, it's all mine.
Okay, so is there any announcement, Pat, you'd like to make? Is there a questionnaire they will fill out, or maybe Pat can give us an announcement on that?
请他们填
是
问
线
卷吗？
上的吗？ What about would you email the link to our audience here, or is there a QR code? Maybe you can use your cell phone to access it. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, dear participants, you could scan the QR code, and then they'll fill the survey. Thank you.
And I think for our audience here, we can make it bigger. Okay, so would this work for everyone? Could you please try to scan this QR code and see if it works? Thank you very much. We really appreciate that you give us feedback and comments on this session. So after you fill out the questionnaire, could we have the honor of having a group photo in the front with Dr. Chen? Let me turn on the lights. And I think Kathy can send the photo to everyone. You have everyone's email, or maybe you can leave your email. 这样可以吗？好，然后背景 we can have to share.
我觉得这边好像比较好看。
怎么样？
以前那边会比较好看。
哦，饮食这边吗
Instead of 黑板。
Instead of 黑板 Okay. So, Kathy, what do you think?
你觉得要照到椅子那边？
做椅子吗？
我没有站的，就是我们需要这个背景这样。
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. So, could everyone be seated in the middle section? Thank you.
那个6号，谢谢。
你们也一起来帮你们工作人员也一起拍。
那先给我拍。
Oh, should we sit down or
我们
stand?
就站着就行。
Oh, stand. Okay, great.
对，
Please come over here. Hello. Oh, will this work?
Mask.
Oh, we can take the mask off. 哦，再进来吗 Okay, so closer, a little
就是可
closer.
能要2排。
要2排是不是 So some will be in the front. 哦，还是这种旁边。
可能我的话，
我觉得还是哦，有点我一定要。
Oh, don't take too long.
Don't take too
脚
long.
很酸，对不对？剩下很酸。
No. Oh, well. I haven't really exercised, so I'll be sick.
好，1、2、3。好。
Oh, I forgot to take my mask off, but that's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
好。
谢谢你来。Thank you, sir. Good stuff.
所以你有 email 可以寄给大家吗？还是请大家留个 email？
都有 email。
哦，你这边有 email 是不是？
对
OK
我去对那个。
对这边 OK 好 OK。我 thank you。